So just like everyone, I have a couple of opinions on what needs to be changed from beta to the full game, and some of it is what people already talked about, but some of it is things that nobody ever talks about, and I'm quite weirded out about that. So let's get through the list. So the first thing is RPG aim assist. When you use a controller and you're aiming an RPG on a tank or another vehicle, you actually get aim assist, and it's quite a huge aim assist. I'm not even sure if it's the same for infantry. I don't think the aim assist is so powerful on infantry, but if you're aiming at a spot with an RPG and a tank crosses your view, your character will actually turn around after it because of the aim assist. And this type of aim assist might be beneficial for shooting guns, but this is completely not how you use an RPG. You're not tracking targets with an RPG. I've been playing Battlefield for close to 20 years now, and I've been playing Engineer for most of the time. The way you use an RPG, you pre-aim a spot, and then you wait for the tank to go through it, and you fire at the exact moment to hit it. So you minimize exposure, you just find a gap in cover, and that's where you hit it. But the way aim assist is set up now just makes it almost impossible to do at times, because your character will just randomly turn around and mess up your shot. And the weirdest part about it is that you don't even have to really look directly at the tank. You can be looking like 20 degrees to the side and it will still turn you around randomly. It's just broken. It needs to go. This cannot be in the game. And of course, it doesn't take effect if you're looking at a stationary tank. It has to pass you for it to happen. So if you didn't get that in the beta, it's not because it's not there. It's just because you weren't in a situation where that happens. So that was my main thing, right? Because I'm like a full-time engineer basically. So it's not too bad, honestly. I have a list of like 20 things here, but this is like the main one that I really, really dislike. So let's go through the rest. Rooftop access. So this is apparently already been addressed, so I guess restrict access also to the hill in the middle of Liberation Peak. I don't know, I think it's just too much. Like the snipers already have the hill on C, the hill on F. Like, do we really need to have like a sniper base in the middle of the map? I don't think so. I think it disrupts gameplay, honestly. So let's get rid of that as well. So the next one is the Call of Duty maps. And this is sort of what people argued about in my last video, where I claimed that the maps we had in the beta in the first weekend were not too small. So the Brooklyn map, if you've played it, that's just not Conquest at all. It's domination with 64 people. It's complete nonsense. And the question is, first off, do we need these sort of maps? Because there will be a second one in the full game that looks like CSGO, I forget the name. Take Achibaba from BF1. That was a perfect infantry on the map that felt like Battlefield. This doesn't feel like Battlefield at all. So do we need this sort of stuff? Shouldn't it better be in a domination rotation? Because remember, in BF3 you had separate maps for Conquest and Domination. So honestly, this should either be just Domination only or a smaller player count map. Like, they already said that they're gonna do Breakthrough and Rush with different player counts, so why not Conquest? But then again, Conquest should always support 64 players, so it's a complete mess. And all of that ties into the matchmaking problem, and I think we need better matchmaking, because the reality where you select a certain type of game mode or a map, and then you get matchmake to something completely different, or you get the repeating maps and repeating sides where you're always defending on Rush or something like that. It's just too random. There needs to be a toggle for that, where you select whether you're willing to wait longer to get exactly what you searched for, or after some time if you're okay with playing something else. And obviously, if you search for big maps, you don't want to be matchmaked into domination the next round, right? So it needs to keep the parameters of your original search throughout the play session. And most importantly, when you're matchmaking, you need to have a toggle for regions. Like, I don't want to play on American servers, I'm from Europe, it sucks. That's literally the only reason why I would use a server browser, okay? So either we need a server browser or we need at least a toggle for regions. Next thing, ping on the scoreboard and platform on the scoreboard. I want to see my ping, I want to see other people's ping, I want to see their platform. Why is it not there? This is like basics. Another thing connected to matchmaking is the closed weapons. They should be the default setting. Like, I understand they're trying to push the open weapon stuff, but it's not the traditional way. Traditional Battlefield is closed weapons, so that should be the default setting. Just like hardcore was a secondary setting, you had to change it to be in hardcore. This is the way it should be. Closed weapons first. So let's get into more gameplay changes. And the first thing would be assault shotgun. Everyone's hating on it, they're already nerfing it. But what I'm concerned about is that the same type of shotgun you would choose as your primary if you were not running assault? Because if it is, then it's going to negatively impact all of the people running shotgun as their primaries on other classes. Like assault historically always had a specific secondary shotgun. It wasn't something you could equip as your primary. So if he has two primaries, then of course he's overpowered. But I'm just speculating here because I don't play shotguns, I didn't even try it, so you tell me how it is in the beta. Next thing, I think the glint from snipers should be way smaller. Mostly because it's really difficult to aim at them, because you can't even see them properly. Like, I see the glint, I see where they are, but I literally don't see where my bullets are supposed to go, where I'm supposed to aim. Especially if I'm aiming for the head, there's no head to aim at. So that needs to be adjusted. Preferably when you ADS and you look at them, the glint should become a lot smaller, or maybe more transparent. Then there's the thing with suppressing snipers. It just doesn't really work in this game. And from what I understood, the suppression only affects health regen. So as far as that, I'm pretty happy with somebody missing you, not affecting your aim. But what I suggest, since sniper rifles are not really an offensive weapon, they should flinch when they get hit, more so than other classes. And especially, the longer the scope, the more flinch you get when you get hit. So you could disrupt them shooting you in the head when you're hitting them in the torso. That's just silly in my opinion. Now, recoil versus spread. They posted something on their blog post about adjusting it, and half of me is happy about it, half of me is not. I don't know what to expect because more spread is better. You will definitely emphasize tap firing and bursting. But the recoil, the way recoil worked in BF3 and I think BF4 as well, is like the first shot gets way more recoil. So like, what's the point of bursting if every time you reset, you get so much more recoil that it's just better to spray? So I'm concerned, is this going to come back? Because I kind of like the recoil, I just wish there was more spread in the beta so that you would have to tap fire more to be accurate. So maybe more recoil overall wouldn't necessarily hurt, but I'm afraid that if the first shot recoil becomes a thing again, it will just force more people to spray, because it will be more efficient than dealing with the first shot recoil all the time. Destruction! Alright, so I suppose this one cannot be easily changed because of the way the destruction works, but the weird thing that I noticed is that on Cairo you have to shoot a wall twice for it to collapse, and the first shot doesn't do anything, while on Liberation Peak it seems like you just shoot it once and it makes a hole in the wall. So that's quite weird, but on Cairo I always thought that the first shot should do something. It's just so underwhelming not to have any effect. I suppose it's just two different destruction types, because on Cairo they're counting on the Grand Bazaar effect with the rubble, and on Liberation Peak it's just normal destruction, but it should be more consistent. It should always have an effect on the first shot, and then second shot to a different portion of the wall should collapse it. The next thing is the rush mode, right? So the main problem is that the bases are too close together. Like, sometimes it's barely 50 meters or something like that. I actually only played like 3 matches, so I don't know, but the ones I've played, they seem really close, especially like Iberian offensive around the D flag area. It was just like you get out the base and you're at the objective. And if you look at BC1, which had the best rush in the series, the best rush map ever made, Oasis, had the first attacker's base 270 meters away from the first defender's base. Or look at any of the BC2 maps, even the smaller ones have at least 100 meters between bases. So the scale is all wrong here. Then I would like to change the way you resupply from an ammo box. It doesn't help anyone if you need to resupply your rockets or whatever and you have to sit there for 2 minutes until it resupplies, right? Like, it shouldn't require you to sit on it forever. It should be a timeout thing where you just resupply, and then you can go about your business, and in some amount of time you are able to resupply again. The only issue I see with this is if you have a grenade and you have an ammo box, you throw the grenade and you resupply it immediately, giving you effectively 2 grenades. So maybe it should also count a timeout from the last time you used or ran out of that ammo type. Next thing is frags. First off, frag grenades, they need a buff. They're almost useless, and I think that the indicator could be changed as well. Why cannot it be like a physical object that just has like a glowing color? It's just like you can't even see what it looks like. It's just like a glowing orb that you can see through walls, so that's kind of weird. And now we're getting into graphics. Basically the HDR, SDR bloom thing where you're inside the house and you can't see outside because it's all white. That's supposedly being taken care of. We'll see what it will look like. But there's another thing that needs to be addressed, and that is Blu-ray picture on the standard PS5. It's especially visible when you take a sniper rifle and you zoom in. You'll notice that the picture is way more blurry than if you were in hipfire. Somehow the game doesn't look like it runs on the resolution it runs, because from what I heard it actually runs on like 1440p on standard PS5, but I see a lot of blurriness at 1080p. And the weird thing is when you have balanced mode and performance mode, there is only frame rate difference between them, and it's either 60 or like 90 or something on the standard PS5. But like visually they look extremely similar. I could barely tell any difference at all. So if it can run at like 90 FPS, why don't we take all of this juice and direct it towards, I don't know, like a better resolution or like better anti-aliasing or something like that? It just looks really blurry when you're zoomed in multiple times. And I suppose the last thing to criticize, but I don't think it's going to change really, or like whatever, you know, it's serviceable, but it's kind of horrible. It's the settings and the spawn screens. Like when I'm spawning in, like sometimes I use L2 R2 to switch the class, but another time I'm using L1 R1, another time I'm using arrows, you know, on the D-pad. It just doesn't make sense, and overall you've seen the settings, it's ridiculous. So that was like the most things that annoyed me, or I thought of them while playing this, but overall it's a solid game. You know, it's not like the core of the game is broken like it used to be. You know, it's funny when you know, I post this video about maps and there's like so many people like, oh, you know, I'm the OG, you know, I've been playing since BF1. Bruh, like Battlefield hasn't been good since BF1. What are you talking about? You know, so like the core is not broken, the core is okay. There's just a couple of things that need to be adjusted, or should be adjusted preferably, and that's my feedback.